Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Trophy largemouth bass in Oklahoma don't just happen. They exist in as many as 45 targeted lakes around the state as a direct result of our incredibly successful Florida largemouth bass program. It started right here in the 70s at the Durant State Fish Hatchery. Now each year, broodstock, or the parent fish, are collected from places like Texas and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And since you just can't look at a bass and know if it's a Florida or a northern species, they're genetically tested at Auburn University to ensure that they're pure Floridas before spawning them. From these ponds, an average of 1.4 million Florida bass are produced and stocked in lakes every year. Now today, this past year's 900 adult broodstock fish are being rounded up and will also be released into our lakes. A wildlife department with a 50-year history producing trophy largemouth bass. Just another reason to love Oklahoma and the adventures that await you.
The Rio Grande wild turkey is a popular game bird in the southern Great Plains, and even though it's hunted a lot, not a lot of landowners actively manage for it, and that's unfortunate because it's a species that you can definitely increase on your property and make your hunting a little more successful. So we're in western part of the Rio Grande range here in Oklahoma, and Tanner, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing over the next year or two?
So we're here on a particular piece of property in western Oklahoma with a landowner who's been gracious enough to allow us on his place to document and track his habitat journey. So what exactly are you wanting to get out of managing for this place, and kind of what are your goals long term?
So Tanner, what I'm trying to get out of the management is a balance between agriculture and wildlife. The value of the wildlife just increases as we take care of it. And we found on this ranch, by reducing the stocking rate a little bit, working together, that the wildlife and the grazing go together really well. We have a eastern red cedar problem, as do most of this region of the country. So that's really been goal number one. And I think when, just from hunting out here and from the ranching perspective, we find that the cattle and the wildlife work together very well if we maintain that balance and the value of both come up.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity to work with you on this, and it'll be fun to kind of document the change. And this ranch already is pretty good for wild turkey, but there's some things that we can do to make it better that'll hopefully help you and also help the viewers. So Tanner, now we're standing on a two-track road, which may be hard to tell because it's kind of become brush encroached. And often in western Oklahoma, West Kansas, and Texas Panhandle, we might not think about areas getting too thick, but they can, especially in areas that turkeys spend a lot of time in. And this is a really important spot because we have known roosting areas and known foraging areas, and they use this road to go between. But because of this dense brush that's right up against the road, it does present a predation risk. So what are you thinking about doing here?
So what we're thinking about doing here is just pushing the brush back just a few yards from each side of the road and through the middle to decrease the risk from wild turkeys as they travel these corridors from roost sites to foraging sites.
So Tanner, we were on this road a year ago and talking about how it was a travel corridor between a known roosting area and a winter food plot for wild turkey, but it was getting a little brushed in, real tight for these winter flocks to move through. So what's the landowner done here?
Yeah, so if you remember last year, I mean, this brush was right up against this here, and the landowner's come in with his mulcher or his brush hog and had gone 2 or 3 strips right here to allow just that more of a buffer for protection for turkeys to travel through.
And it looks like there's a lot of forbs that have come in.
Yeah, there's a lot of flowers, a lot of broadleaf plants, so not only is this acting as a protective buffer, it's also going to act as a brooding corridor as well.
So a management practice that a lot of landowners think about with wild turkey is planting food plots or managing crop fields for turkeys. And that's a useful practice. It certainly attracts turkeys at some times of the year. It can be over-relied on. I mean, that's certainly not what we want most of the property to be in, is some agronomic crop. But that being said, having some strategic food plots can be useful, especially from a hunting scenario. So why don't you tell us about what we're standing in?
Sure. So early this spring, this was planted as a green wheat field. And right behind us here, over the hilltop, we have some winter and spring roosting trees, and they will fly down in the mornings and actively eat the green wheat itself. And right now, obviously, the wheat's been harvested and plowed under, but there's still tons of little grasshoppers here that they will still come down and mill around in these fields in the mornings, especially picking up these little grasshoppers.
But the important thing is that as that food resource fades, as we get in deeper into summer, that we've also got this odd field corner beside us, which hasn't been sprayed. And so that's something to really think about, is what our turkey's going to be using most of the summer, especially as these crop fields are not as reliable of a food source. You need to look for flowering plants on your property and make sure to minimize the herbicide that you're using on the landscape, because a lot of these flowering plants that are just full of grasshoppers, full of beetles, I mean, that is the primary food for wild turkeys during all summer when the broods are on the ground. So that's really important to retain that. So Tanner, what have we got here? It looks like a resource concern that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, our main concern at this particular spot is we have these cottonwoods here that are like the roost trees and the loafing trees, but underneath them we have a growing infestation of eastern red cedars, and as the encroachment increases, they're going to become unusable for wild turkeys because they're not going to want to roost in trees that they cannot see where they are going to land at. Yeah. And same with loafing, they're not going to want to loaf around in an area where they can't see at eye level.
So it's really critically important to evaluate your property and look for these cottonwood or large oak or elm, whatever they are, that are sources for turkeys to roost, but also to loaf, and to make sure that you keep the understory clear.
Well, if you remember last year about this time, behind us, these cottonwoods were all just engulfed in fairly tall cedar trees. And a landowner has gone in with a mulcher and quickly cleared out from under all these trees.
That's not, and immediately make these more available for turkeys to roost, where they feel secure pitching off in the morning. And I think one of the other things to keep in mind is not only are these trees really important for roosting cover, but they're important for loafing cover. I mean, it's the middle of the day, it's hot, the turkeys are standing under the shade somewhere right now.
Yep.
Well, I think you've got something else to show me up the road, so let's head that way.
Yep, that works. One of the important things to look at for strip disking over using prescribed fire, especially on some of these sandier sites like we are today, is looking at the forb response, timing of the year. This was strip disked in late November of last year, and also some erosion issues. Sometimes, like if we, so you burn up some sand hills or some sandier sites and we don't get the rains, you have the potential for some erosion problems farther down the road. If you don't get the plant response back. Whereas a strip disking, you still have some residual matter there as you turn up the soil. And we're not talking a deep tillage. We're just talking like a top 1 or 2 inches of disturbance there. And I mean, this stand of sunflowers now is, you know, it's covering this whole area, and it's really well, the canopy is almost a closed canopy, but it's really wide open underneath.
Right, it's perfect for a turkey because they can look over, an adult hen can look over the top, but yet the poults are hidden underneath. And it's just teeming with insects. Lots of grasshoppers in here and other beetles and things that poults would want to eat. And just to be clear, this wasn't planted. This was in the seed bank. All they had to do is a disturbance, and you'd see similar responses from a fire. And then also important is think about the proximity of the food resources to cover. There's some trees really close by that are nice and open underneath. It's a great place for a brood of turkeys to go hang out, cool off, and they can bounce back and forth between feeding areas and loafing areas all day. So that might be something to think about, is strategically burning or strip disking in close proximity to areas that turkeys can loaf during the heat of the day. Really look forward to seeing how this property is going to transition over the next year or two as the landowner implements some of these practices, and we'll be sure to check back in and allow you to see it, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you in managing your property. So let's go grab some lunch.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I think this landowner is going to really like what he's going to see in a couple of years with this turkey response.
Yeah, if we can just get some favorable weather, I think we'll really see the turkeys respond.
Congratulations, Mustang Class of 22. There have been many days where I thought this day would never come, but here we are. I've wrote this speech about 50 times, trying to come up with flowery words of profound wisdom, but realized that that wasn't working. So I'm just going to be me. Hi, I'm Kate Dillon, the oldest of 3 girls and the daughter of a dad who always dreamed of a son. Many people used to ask my parents if they were going to try for a boy. They responded, "We did, 3 times. In all honesty, my dad has been a great girl dad and has learned to live in an estrogen-filled environment. Even our dog is a girl named Lady. Though my dad accepted that his life may be filled with dolls, princess movies, hair bows, and all things pink, he instilled for me from an early age a love for less stereotypical girl hobbies. He bought me my first Barbie fishing rod while I was still in the crib and outfitted me in full camo by the age of 5. While my dad really loves to hunt, he really loves to fish. I've gone on more fishing trips than I can count, and every family vacation I can remember involves my sisters and I trying to find a comfortable way to ride with fishing rods sticking out from the back seat. So tonight, I would like to share with you 3 takeaways that I've learned from fishing with my dad. Here we go. Life lessons from the tackle box. Number 1, you can never have too many lures because each lure has its own purpose. There are many types of lures: spinner baits, crate baits, swim jigs, and more, each with its own color combination to attract the fish. While my mom would like to think that one lure should do the trick, my dad has taught me that you need many different types of lures depending on the lake, the time of year, and the type of fish. Each lure has a different and uniquely made for a specific reason. Much like lures, we are all different, but we are each created for a unique purpose. It is easy to compare ourselves to other people and devalue the things that make us special. But when we learn to embrace who we really are, instead of spending time trying to develop gifts that aren't us, that is when we truly begin to thrive and succeed. Whether you're headed to college, trade school, starting your career, or joining the military, whatever you do, focus on serving your purpose. Number 2, you won't always catch something on your first cast, so just keep casting. The truth is, there were some trips where I didn't catch anything, but you will never catch something if you don't cast. You may not get the job, the scholarship, the girl, or the acceptance letter, but if you keep striving for your goals, you will find your way and reach your purpose. Sometimes, in the end, it may be different than what you expected, but if you learn to persevere through the struggle, you will succeed. Number 3, a successful fishing day is less about the catch and more about the people. I can't remember the days where we caught a lot or a little, but I have a wealth of memories of times with my dad. The long drives, the times on the dock, in the boat, sharing maple donuts and Dr. Pepper, and spending time retying my jig after I lost it on a branch. Again. Whether discussing our favorite Andy Griffith episode or talking about the struggles that I was having, the time that he invested in me is what made our trips the best. In a world where success is often measured by wealth, fame, and titles, I believe our greatest achievement in life will be how we invest in the people around us. Each of us have our own sphere of influence. We have opportunities every day to impact others. It is easy to get caught up in achieving the goal and lose sight of those who are around us along the way. On our journey, may we take time to stop and invest in people. I've heard it said, success is not counted by how high you have climbed, but by how many people you brought with you. Class of 22, let's take time to invest in others and thank those who have invested in us.
Past fall, I saw 19 toms and about 250 hens out in this field.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Man.
19 toms. Now, we're not talking about jakes, we're talking about beards. They've been roosting up here around this corner in this big cottonwood trees.
Yeah.
And see, here's some tracks here.
Sure enough.
Here, some scat. They
Boy, this is-
really get drawn into this field here because of all the grain that's left after the cultivation and the harvesting.
Just like a magnet in here. They're just coming right in here, probably.
Well, with that many birds on this size of ranch, you know, they split up and go out their different ways, and of course they're nesting all these hardwood bottoms. Well, you ready for this?
Boy, I sure hope so, Jerry. You know, I was so excited about this hunt, I went out and bought a new shotgun.
What'd you buy?
Well, I got a Mossberg semi-automatic 12 gauge, turkey hunter special.
You have to have that cut down or something?
Yeah, I do. I have a real fine gunsmith, and he cuts the stocks down for me. And then since you're taking away quite a bit of weight when you cut 2 or 3 inches off the stock, he balances out the stock for me, loosened up the safety. I think I'm ready to go.
How many pellets did you get in that pattern in your turkey's head?
Well, I tried several different shot loads. I tried some number 4s and some number 6s. And you know, each gun will shoot something different. They'll favor a different type of shot and even brand sometimes. And so I tried some other brands, and this Mossberg seems to favor number 4s. At about 30 yards, I was putting in close to 20 pellets in the head.
Well, that's plenty. That'll take care of them.
You bet. I'm excited about it.
There's some more tracks.
Sure
That's
enough.
a big old feather.
Man. You
Yeah,
bet.
they're
All
really-
kinds of places on this rocky bluff you could
Yeah,
hide.
I came in here the other day and got to doing a little scouting, and I saw this little pile of rocks here. I started this blind.
Uh-huh.
We need to finish it up a little bit.
Oh, this is sharp.
Yeah, it's a good
Man.
spot.
You
We
betcha.
We can get it arranged back out here.
Turkey condo.
Turkey condo.
Man, where's the lazy boy? Well, you know, it's getting pretty late. We ought to probably sneak out of here before they start coming in.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a little rain tomorrow.
Sounds good. I'm ready, Jerry.
Let's go on down here by this gate and check for some more sign.
Okay.
See if we get an answer
an owl hoot first, yeah. Verify if they're still up behind us. Boy, we got his attention that time.
Yeah, there he is. I see him over there. He's over on the other side of that farmhouse in that green field. You might keep your cutting and stripping. He's just this side of the fence at the windmill. Okay, here he comes.
Good deal. That was a close shot.
Oh man.
Woo.
About 22 steps, 23 steps.
23 steps. Look at that.
Oh man.
My goodness.
What a bird.
Beautiful tail.
Look at that fan. Boy, that's our Rio Grande for you.
That sure
Look at the
is.
colors. Purple, silver, gold, orange, red, blue.
There she goes. We're legal
All
now.
right. Tag number and all.
You bet.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, we hope today's stories remind you that Oklahoma is such a perfect state to explore. So no matter how you choose to enjoy our state's incredible natural wonders, remember, your adventure starts with outdoor Oklahoma. Outdoor Oklahoma is produced by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and is proud to serve and be funded entirely by sportsmen and women and outdoor enthusiasts who love and appreciate all things wild in the great state of Oklahoma.